Okay, so the whole point of existentialism, right? This idea that we exist, that we have our own decisions to make, that we are not simply reacting and being pawns in a game, right? Comes from a differentiation between, right, Kierkegaard and philosophers like Hegel, right, who believed that there was a lot of predetermined life, right, that happened, right? That things were supposed to go a certain way, that the great creator, in many cases God, or the great watchmaker, as a lot of deists would talk about it, right? Set things in motion. The world will eventually spin to a stop, and we will all go away. But in between now and then, everything is going as planned, right? According to plan, everything is leading towards, right, the perfect plan. And in many cases, if for those who were Christians at that particular time, it was leading to Armageddon, right? The second coming of the Lord, and either we were going to burn, right? The whole place is going to burn, or there's going to be a new heaven and new earth on the earth, right? Religion sort of 101 when it comes to sort of the way that very strict interpretations of the Bible are concerned. Kierkegaard was still, right, a Christian, and likely still did have some notion of, right, the world eventually comes to an end, right? Everybody dies, and, there's salvation or there's not salvation. But his idea was very different from that of somebody like Calvin, right, who really believed that predetermined, life was all you could have, right, that your path was set, right? Kierkegaard believed that we had all the free will, right, that we wanted. And he points it out in this idea of Abraham and Isaac, right? And this idea of the responsibility that he has towards his son and the responsibility that he has towards his God, who at this point in time he's on speaking terms with, right? But has asked him to do something very strange, very counterintuitive, that makes this new God that, Abraham is looking at look a lot like the gods of the other people who would frequently require child sacrifice and human sacrifice, and and that was disappointing, right? Abraham believed this God was different, but this God had said, sacrifice your son Isaac. And so if you know the story, right, he takes his son, right, they go into the wilderness. He brings wood, he brings rope, a way to make fire, and basically when they get to the place, ties up his son, puts him on an altar, gets ready to, sacrifice him ritually, and God appears or speaks out and says, nope, don't do it. You have proven that you are, faithful, and that you are worthy of, my consideration, right? You don't have to kill your son. I provided a ram, right? Kierkegaard doesn't like this story. He has a difficult time with it, right? He still thinks, right, this is a very, very complicated thing that, Abraham is forced to go through, and it's a horrifying thing, right? That, another example of, playing games with, and sort of, playing cat and mouse with your creation, right? He doesn't like that very much, but he does say, right, that ultimately, because God reveals himself to be good, that when we take this leap of faith, right, that we are taking a leap of faith based on the idea that we don't know what's next, right? We have to believe that whatever is coming next is good, that God is going to be good to us, and that our actions are going to be guided well, right? In this video that we've watched, right, we are told that really the difference between the ethical stage, and the religious stage, is very great, right? That it's not just about doing good things, right? It's about taking a leap of faith that seems absolutely crazy, right? That, you are Abraham level crazy to decide to go along with and take a leap of faith and to believe in, a God that at times feels counterintuitive and feels like he's absolutely asking us to do things that are against what we would normally ever do, right? But that the faith that we have is that in saying, okay, we'll try this, right? That we are going to be guided in a direction that is actually better than anything we could choose for ourselves. And it's the only way that we would choose the best thing for ourselves. This is also the key difference between what Kierkegaard's existentialism looks like and Sartre's. We'll talk about that a little bit next week. We'll talk about it a little bit this week, but mostly next week about how that's going to be very, very different. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the stages of life. So what are the life stages? We've got aesthetic, we've got ethical, we've got religious. What are they all? How do they work?